my introduction, I've already done it. Basically, I'm going through a PowerPoint. For those of you listening at home, I'm looking at a PowerPoint and hoping that you read my mind. But I basically introduced everybody already. Bo is not here. He's from the Outright Libertarians, and when he arrives, he might describe a little bit more about how the Outright Libertarians view the gay marriage issue. Essentially, they are not for waiting to 2012 to get back in the game here and get back on the offensive, because there's a pretty strong contingent that said we ought to wait 4 years and try it again, or 3 years.
It's not a constituency that tends to sit on their hands, so I'm not expecting that to be the case.
Good. And here's
hopefully.
Bo. You just can't.
Oh, look who just walked in.
Devil, yeah. Right here. Speak kindly of. And my meatballs just got here. Okay, Bo. Thank you. Just take that salad. Okay. Outstanding. Perfect timing, Bo. I was just saying that when you arrive, you might be able to speak a little more clearly about now, except he's got to get a drink. He's now being asked, more importantly than his opinions about gay marriage, but do you need a drink? Yes.
Is that an aesthetic question?
No, it's a real question.
I'll order later, thank you.
Okay. We'll squeeze it in between commentaries. But let me ask you about the Outright Libertarians. And thank you for coming, by the way.
My pleasure.
You braved
Thank
out
you for
the
inviting
405 and
Surprised you get stuck on the freeway all night.
It was amazing. There was almost no traffic. Too bad we couldn't say the same thing about repealing Prop 8, huh?
Surprised there wasn't any traffic on the freeway at all. Usually rush hour 24/7.
Yeah. What was the question again?
I didn't finish it, but let me try to finish the question. The Outright Libertarians, as I read on the website, don't want to wait till 2012 to get back in the game and try to go on the offensive. We've been playing when I say we, the people who see gay marriage as a civil right and are trying to just assert that civil right and not any special right are going to need to get back on the offensive, since we've been on the defensive, since Prop 8 and perhaps before. And what the Outright Libertarians wrote on the website that I read is they don't want to wait until 2012, which some other groups had said it would be best to do. Can you put in your words, characterize the Outright Libertarians' view on that, and why we want to get back into it sooner than that?
Well, first of all, I believe that the argument for waiting until 2012 is largely an economic argument. If they wait until 2012, they'll have more time to gather financial support, which they're going to need, and just give them more time to make their arguments during a presidential election year.
Yeah.
And more people are engaged at that time.
Yeah.
Okay? Outright Libertarians, of course, there's an emotional argument here. We've waited long enough, God damn it, That is, the ones who are waiting to marry, have waited long enough. I have no interest in marriage personally, except to get the government out of it.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, good.
And ultimately, whatever solution we approach, it's got to be with an eye toward getting the government to stop licensing personal relationships.
Excellent. Good. That's where we're going at the end of this whole talk. But we're going to go through the whole history, and we'll get around to that at the end. And I'm glad that's your goal in mind. So let's stop there. I'm going to go back and I'm going to recap some of the history leading up to Prop 8 and then on through it. And we'll discuss we'll discuss Prop 8 and then what's going on beyond, and then we'll get to that general issue.
Okay, but then there's also the matter of why Outright wants to pursue this in 2010.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, that was the question, and I digressed.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Essentially, and this is from Donnie Ferguson in the Libertarian Party office in Arlington. He said that it's best to wait until 2012 because in 2010 there's going to be a huge opposition to gay marriage. And why waste our effort, when there's going to be that huge opposition? Why not just go ahead and wait until 2012 when the whole nation's going to be involved and la la la? Mm-hmm. And I thought about that and I said, okay, so there's going to be huge opposition. That means that the undecided voters are going to be hearing only that argument. and seeing only that on the ballot available to them. And the undecided voters will say, well, if that's the trend, if this is where it's going, then I don't want to waste my vote. I'm going to vote in favor of Prop 8. Mm-hmm. Now, then, after we get past that election and Prop 8 is still in effect, which it likely will be if that scenario plays out, as Donnie Ferguson thinks it will, here's what here's what the reporters are going to say. Well, in 2009, Prop 8 failed. 2008, Prop 8 failed because, and then in 2010, there was even a larger margin. A larger difference, It only failed by a slim majority, the first time around. But the second time around, that majority grew. So the trend is away from gay marriage. And this is why we absolutely must fight against Prop 8 in 2010. It is to prevent the perception that the trend is away from marriage equality.
Good strategy. Good strategy. Okay. We'll come back to that because I do want to get a little background on it. Thanks for answering that, though, because that gives us a good preview of the kind of coming attractions of where we're at in this right at this time. But let's go back for people who don't know the history so much, and I'll spend a little time on it. Marriage is one civil rights issue that, in the overall set of issues within the gay rights movement, which, at least in my opinion, is the only legitimate civil rights movement in the U.S. which still has a true legal deficiency in the protection of our constitutional rights to liberty and the pursuit of happiness, as opposed to some of the racial civil rights issues which have, at least on paper, achieved equality. The question generally, what is marriage legally? In simple terms, state enforcement of various claims on the spouse's property, guardianship over children, tax and insurance benefits. They tend to be economic. That's the legal kind of control of the definition of marriage. Of course, the meaning of marriage is so much more profound and personal in the social and religious context, but the state, as we'll get to later, can only recognize certain aspects of marriage, and it tends to be about benefits and simple numbers that the state can track. I have a graphic up showing where, in general, the trends on recognition of gay marriage ranges throughout the planet. In this graphic, same-sex marriage is recognized in I would say a more equal state with hetero marriages in the country of Canada, and in certain states in Europe. Now, you probably can't see the distinctions in color here very well, but basically Spain and Norway, the Netherlands, and I think another country. We'll see. I have it summarized.
Belgium?
Yeah, can you see it? Belgium. Yeah, there's where there is essentially equal recognition. There are recognitions of other types of gay partnerships. In several states, in Australia, many in South America, surprisingly, and in some of our American states, and running the full gamut, there are actually some states that still in the country impose the death penalty on homosexual behavior or relationships, depending on what is found in their tribunals. My summary in words here is that essentially Denmark became the first country in the modern era to extend rights and responsibilities of marriage to same-sex couples. Since 2001, 5 countries have come to recognize same-sex marriages for civil purposes: Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, Canada, and South Africa. Norway, in this year, is projected may already have passed it.